Good morning, all. Mary Bulger here, naturalist with Iowa County Conservation, and I want to welcome you to our virtual nature crafts. Today, I am not coming to you live. This is a pre-recorded session that is scheduled to post at 10 o'clock. So today we're going to be talking a little bit about using natural dyes to dye Easter eggs. And you can do this by using things you probably have right around your home. And we all know about those Easter egg dyeing kits where you get the little tabs of color. You use water and you use vinegar to dye them all different colors. But maybe you didn't know that you can use the food, things in your refrigerator or your cupboard to actually make your own natural dyes. And so you don't really need very many materials at all. We're going to go through the materials that you need, and then we're going to kind of go through the process, and I'm going to show you some examples that I pre-made of some dyed Easter eggs, okay? So there are several natural foods and spices that have different colors. We'll go over those in just a moment, but other things that you're going to need. You're of course going to need some water, and depending on what you are using for your materials, it's generally about 1 cup per material, and I'm going to post something in the comments to kind of give you a guide of how much water to the materials that you're going to need here. You're going to need probably some tablespoons or some measuring spoons, some things to get the eggs out, little spoons or forks, whatever you have. And then you're going to need some glass containers. These little jelly jars or little glasses work wonderfully for dyeing the Easter egg because they're going to need to soak in those things for a little while. You're going to need some cooking materials, so a pan because these dyes have to cook for just a little bit to kind of make them so they can dye your Easter eggs. And of course you're going to need some hard-boiled eggs to dye. And these things, they're made of natural things that you actually eat and you cook with, so you can eat the eggs afterward. They're really pretty after that. So what I'm going to do is kind of go through the process and kind of demonstrate a little bit about what you're going to do. One of the materials that you can use, or spices actually, is turmeric. And so turmeric is a spice that has a pretty strong smell. It has a beautiful yellowish orange color, and it is a good dye. So what I'm going to do is, for the turmeric, you're going to use 1 tablespoon of the spice per cup of water. And so I'm going to put 1 cup of water in my pan here. I'm going to take my tablespoon and I'm going to put a tablespoon of turmeric in my saucepan, and then I'm going to mix it around so the spice and the water are all kind of mixed together. There's no clumps of that spice. Turmeric has a very strong kind of savory good smell. I love the smell of it. And it's all mixed together. Let me show you kind of what it looks like here. So it's all mixed together there. And then you're going to take it and you're going to put it on your stove and you're going to bring it to a boil, a full roaring boil. At that point, you're going to turn it down to just a simmer, and you're going to cover it up to make sure you lose very much of that liquid, and you're going to simmer it for 30 minutes. That kind of makes that solution, that dye, it kind of makes the powder kind of go into the water and makes that solution, and then it will be ready to dye your Easter eggs. Let me show you what that dye looks like afterwards. So you can see it's this rich, beautiful kind of orangish red color, and there's no powder. It's kind of a little bit like a syrup here. And then what you're going to do is you're going to use this and you're going to drop your egg. And so I would say if you're using jars like this one, you should probably fill it about halfway. If you're using these little jelly jars, take your hard-boiled egg, gently drop it in there, just like that. And so it kind of floats in that dye. It's totally covered in that dye. And the recipe that I found online says you can leave it in for a few hours to overnight. And I left my egg in overnight. And just look at this beautiful, beautiful, dark, rich colored, kind of orangish yellow Easter egg. So that one is made of turmeric, the spice. I did one that wasn't on my my recipe list, and I used some blackberries. So I made a syrup out of the blackberries, or a dye. Same process. I put a pint of blackberries with a cup of water, and I brought them to a boil. And then I turned it down and let them simmer covered for about half an hour. And that is what made my dye here. Same thing, I put an egg in, I let it soak overnight. And look at this beautiful purple egg that I made with the blackberry. So blackberries work as well. Another thing that you can use that you have in your kitchen is coffee. And so what I did with this one is I brewed a strong pot of coffee. And that's what I have right here. And then dropped my egg in and made this beautiful coffee colored egg. There are other things you can use that I didn't do examples of. So a couple other examples, and this will be in the comments that I post a little bit later. You can use red cabbage, and that will give you blues and greens for dye. Same process, you put it in a saucepan with water, you bring it to a boil, you let it simmer for 30 minutes, and it'll make those beautiful colored dyes. Let your egg soak a few hours to overnight. You can also use red onions. Those will give you some kind of reddish brown colors. And you can use beets. Those will give you some deep, dark, beautiful reds. So lots of different things, and you can even experiment. Like I experimented with the blackberries. Think about a fruit or something that has a really rich kind of deep color, and you can do the same thing. You can prepare that, you can put it with water, boil it and simmer it for a little bit, and see if it works as a dye. So really simple, really easy to use. The length of time with the dyeing may be a little bit longer, but it's a fun process that you can do with your family. And use some things that you have right in your kitchen at home, spices or things you have in the cupboard or the refrigerator. So if you have any questions about using these natural dyes with Easter egg, please put those in the comments here. Or if you have requests for future Nature Crafts Live, you can put those in the comments, or you can email me with those at mbulger@co.iowa.ia.us. And please join us for, if you'd like to watch our future Nature Crafts Live. Those are all on our Facebook page and our virtual Nature Crafts folder, or on our playlist, or you can watch them on our YouTube page. Just search Iowa County Conservation and find our virtual Nature Crafts playlist, as well as our other virtual series, the Virtual Critters series, and learn about different native Iowa animals. Same thing, we have those on both our YouTube page and our Facebook page. And I want to thank you very much for watching. It is going to be a gorgeous weekend this coming weekend, Easter weekend. And I encourage you to get outside, explore in nature, dye some Easter eggs, and have a lot of fun with your family, especially in the outdoors. Thanks very much for joining me. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.